In the annals of biblical history, few figures are as seminal as Abraham, called by God to be the progenitor of a great multitude. Central to this divine promise are his two sons, Ishmael and Isaac, whose lineages diverge into paths that have shaped religious and historical discourses across millennia. This narrative seeks to explore not just the biographical details of these two figures, but also their theological and cultural import, grounded in the scriptural accounts from Genesis and further reflections in rabbinic and Islamic traditions. Ishmael, the firstborn son of Abraham, was conceived through Hagar, Sarah's Egyptian maidservant. His birth is a fulfillment of divine intervention, but also a source of contention. Genesis 16:11-12 prophesies his future. The angel of the Lord also said to her, "You are now pregnant and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone and everyone's hand against him, and he will live in hostility toward all his brothers." Isaac's birth represents the fulfillment of a specific covenant promise made by God to Abraham and Sarah, one that seemed impossible due to their old age. Genesis 21:1-3 narrates, "Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised." Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. The introduction of Ishmael and Isaac into Abraham's family was not without complications. The scriptures detail the interpersonal strife that emerged, particularly between Sarah and Hagar. As Ishmael grew, the tension within the household intensified, culminating during the feast celebrating Isaac's weaning. Genesis 21:9-10 records, "But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham was mocking, and she said to Abraham, 'Get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that slave woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac.'" This demand highlights the deep divisions within the family, reflecting broader themes of covenant and inheritance that are central to biblical narratives. Abraham's distress at the prospect of sending Ishmael away was alleviated by God's reassurance, indicating divine oversight over both sons' fates. Genesis 21:12-13 reassures, "Do not be so distressed about the boy and your maidservant. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the maidservant into a nation also, because he is your offspring." This passage not only provides a resolution to the immediate familial conflict, but also sets the stage for the unfolding of God's plans for both Ishmael and Isaac. Following their departure from Abraham's household, Hagar and Ishmael wandered in the desert of Paran. Their survival and Ishmael's subsequent development into a skilled archer are documented, reflecting his adaptation to the harsh desert conditions. Genesis chapter 21:20 notes, "God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer." Ishmael's life in Paran laid the foundations for his future as he grew into the progenitor of a great nation, fulfilling God's promise to Abraham. Ishmael's marriage to an Egyptian woman further connects him to his mother Hagar's heritage, symbolizing a blending of cultural backgrounds that would characterize his descendants. The Bible briefly mentions his progeny in Genesis chapter 25:12-16, listing his 12 sons who would become tribal leaders in the region, echoing the promise that he would father a great nation. One of the most significant events in Isaac's life is the Akedah, or the binding of Isaac, which profoundly illustrates his role in Abraham's covenant with God. Genesis 22:1-2 recounts God's test for Abraham. "Take your son, your only son whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you." This dramatic episode not only tests Abraham's faith, but also cements Isaac's pivotal role in the unfolding biblical narrative as the bearer of the covenantal promise. Isaac's marriage to Rebekah, orchestrated by divine guidance through Abraham's servant, signifies the continuation of the covenant through his lineage. Their struggle with infertility and subsequent prayer for children echo Abraham and Sarah's experiences, linking generations through shared challenges and divine interventions. Genesis 25, verse 21 states, Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was childless. The Lord answered his prayer, and his wife Rebekah became pregnant. The birth of their twins, Esau and Jacob, not only perpetuates Abraham's lineage, but also prefigures the future division and reconciliation within the family. The narrative of Ishmael and Isaac's later years includes a poignant reunion at the burial of their father Abraham, as documented in Genesis 25, verse 9. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah near Mamre. This event underscores the themes of reconciliation and familial bonds, transcending earlier conflicts and highlighting the complexities of their relationships. The legacies of Ishmael and Isaac are monumental, with their descendants shaping the religious and cultural landscapes of the Middle East. Ishmael is regarded as the forefather of the Arab nations, fulfilling God's promise of making him into a great nation. Similarly, Isaac's descendants through Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel, become the foundational elements of the Jewish nation. Genesis chapter 25, verses 13 to 16, provides a lineage that underscores Ishmael's influence. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael, named in the order of their birth: Nebaioth, the firstborn of Ishmael, Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Dumah, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedemah. These names not only personalize Ishmael's descendants, but also link him to various tribes known historically to have inhabited the Arabian Peninsula. Each son's lineage would eventually lead to distinct tribal entities, instrumental in the socio-political fabric of the region, fulfilling the divine promise that Ishmael would father a great nation. Ishmael is traditionally considered the progenitor of the Arab peoples, and his lineage is integral to Islamic tradition, wherein he is recognized as a prophet. His story emphasizes themes of survival, resilience, and divine favor, resonating deeply in Islamic narratives where he is also credited, along with Abraham, with building the Kaaba in Mecca. This act of devotion marks a foundational moment in the development of Islamic religious heritage. Isaac's family continues with the focus on his younger son Jacob, who was chosen over Esau to carry on Abraham's covenant. This choice, prophesied even before the twins' birth, was manifest in Genesis 25, verse 23, where the Lord tells Rebekah, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger." This prophecy sets the stage for the complex narrative of Jacob, who would later be renamed Israel, thus becoming the patriarch of the Israelite tribes. Isaac's life is marked by fewer dramatic divine encounters than those of his father Abraham or his son Jacob, yet his role is pivotal in the continuity of the Abrahamic covenant. His interactions with God, though less frequent, include significant moments such as the reiteration of the covenant in Genesis chapter 26, verses 3 to 4, where God instructs him during a famine not to go down to Egypt, and promises, "Stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and will bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands and will confirm the oath I swore to your father Abraham." The final years of Abraham's life, culminating in his death at the age of 175, are described succinctly in Genesis chapter 25, verses 7 to 8. His legacy, however, is far-reaching, impacting not only the immediate family dynamics between Ishmael and Isaac, but also setting a foundational narrative for the Jewish, Christian, and Islamic faiths. His commitment to God and the resulting covenant is a central theme that permeates through the narratives of his sons and beyond. The joint act by Ishmael and Isaac in burying their father at the cave of Machpelah, as stated in Genesis chapter 25, verse 9, not only signifies a moment of familial unity, but also a significant cultural and religious convergence. The cave, purchased earlier by Abraham as a burial site for his wife Sarah, becomes a familial tomb and a place of reverence, linking it to the broader theme of legacy and inheritance. After Abraham's death, Ishmael and Isaac lived out their days in the regions they inhabited. Ishmael continued to thrive in the wilderness of Paran, and Isaac remained in Canaan. The scripture follows Isaac more closely, detailing his movements and interactions, including his response to God's promises and his role in the family saga that would shape much of the biblical narrative. Ishmael and Isaac, though charting different paths, collectively embody the fulfillment of God's promises to Abraham. Their legacies, interwoven with divine promises and human actions, continue to resonate through history, influencing countless generations. Their stories exemplify themes of faith, perseverance, and divine oversight, serving as foundational narratives for major world religions and moral frameworks. Through their lives, we see a complex tapestry of human emotion, divine intervention, and the relentless pursuit of fulfilling one's destiny as laid out by God. These narratives not only enrich our understanding of biblical history, but also offer profound insights into the enduring human quest for meaning and identity in the vast unfolding of divine providence. Oh, and by the way, if you're having fun watching this, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps out, and you'll stay updated on everything coming next. Thanks.